Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Let me see if I can get you fixed up here the right way. Okay, so this is a painting I sold and I need to do a flood coat on it, and I've gotten requests to do a video on flood coats, so I am going to do that for you. Please excuse the glare in the corner there. There's nothing I can do. It is my light. If I turn on the other light, it's going to be even worse. So we're going to just deal with that little ball buster in the corner there. So anyway, the resin I am using is, I don't want to tip it upside down because I'm trying, it's at the end of its life here. Stone Coat Countertop Epoxy. Not the art coat, just the regular stone coat. And I'm fine using that. I get about 45 minutes working time out of that. 45 minutes to an hour. And it works really good. So the first thing that you have to do a flood coat is you have to sand off any resin drips you have. Prep your canvas to get it the way that you want it. For me, this one has natural wood sides, so it was pretty easy. Some people say you have to sand, lightly buff the top of this painting so that the new layer you put on will not separate. I personally don't do that. I had spoken to somebody that was that has been doing resin for 15 years, and they told me the bond in epoxy is so strong it will never separate from that bottom layer. So I go by that. If you will feel better sanding, I would get something like a I think it's 400, like a really, really fine, and just lightly buff it. Then if you were to do that, or even if you weren't to do that, you should spray the surface and the sides, wherever the resin is going to go. Spray a little rubbing alcohol on a rag and wipe it down good, which I've already done. And then what you need to do is you need to create a barrier to keep the resin pooled up on the top of the painting at first. We do want to coat the sides in this video, so I will be removing that tape at a certain point. But for now, until the resin gets a little bit thicker, I want to keep it up on the top so that in about a half hour, depending on which resin you're using, if you're using Envirotex, I would say 20 minutes. After about 20 minutes to a half hour, you slowly peel off this tape and you let the resin on its own fall over the sides, and it will coat it nice, thick. It should go over evenly. If it doesn't, you can use your fingers a little bit to fill in the holes where it's missing, which I will show you all of that. The reason why you want to do the tape on a flood coat is because when we first put the resin on, it's going to be very, very liquidy. And what's going to happen is if the tape is not there, it's going to fly over it's going to pour over the sides, and it's just going to drip, drip, drip down onto your piece of plastic or whatever you're working on. If you leave the tape on until it gets a little bit thicker and then slowly pull it off, it's thicker. It tends to stick better to the sides. So that's why we do the tape. Now, as for the tape, I have the underneath of the canvas taped like we always do for paintings. And what I've done is I've gone around the whole thing. It's not even. It doesn't need to be even because it's coming off. But what I do is I create a little pull tab for myself. And I'll show you it right here. You see this little pull tab? This way, when I have resin all over my hands and I have to pull the tape off, I don't have to sit there with my nail and try to dig at it because it's stuck down. So I could just take this, rip it off, and it's going to come right off beautifully for me. It's pretty simple. You just wrap the tape around the canvas, and then when you get to the end, fold a little piece of the tape over on itself to create that pull tab. So I'm going to mix on my resin, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I mixed up my resin for about 4 minutes. And what I have done is I have transferred all of my resin into another cup. And I'm going to give it a couple of more stirs because because this is a painting that is going out to a customer, I want to be extra cautious. Well, you should always be extra cautious because you don't want to waste this anyway. But it's a large amount of resin, and sometimes you don't see stuff stuck in the bottom of the cup. So I'm just giving it a quick double mixing here. Also, I wanted to bring up the fact that you will hear most likely 2 terms going around when doing this process here. You will hear the term flood coat, and then you'll hear the term top coat. So the difference between the two is a top coat is where you don't put this tape on here. You just put some resin on the top, go over the top, and if you go over the sides, it's done. A flood coat is what I explained, pulling the resin up onto the top of the canvas at first and then letting it flood over the sides, henceforth the term flood coat. And I'm just about done here. Okay, we should be good. So what do I want to do? What I usually do is take my resin and just get it right up to the edge here. Just in those hard to reach spots before I go dumping the rest of it on there. And also I will torch this, and I will continue to torch it every 15 minutes for about, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes until I see there are no more air bubbles. One torching is nowhere near enough. If you ask me, torching it 3 separate times is not enough. You'll still have some air bubbles. Get it right up in those corners. Or edges, I should say. People that own pets, be cautious with your tape, because tape is a magnet for animal hair. So be on the lookout for that. The last thing you need to do is have a piece of cat or dog hair on the inside of this piece of tape, not see it, and then it cures right on the edge of your painting. So now I have it up along the edges. I'm just going to put some more in here. Give it a nice, thick, heavy coat. And now I'm going to take my trusty hand, make sure there's nothing on it, no inks, nothing, which I know there's not because I just put these gloves on, but I want to make sure there's not one single cat hair in there because I don't want to sit here picking at it. I don't know about you guys, but when it's time for me to look for hair or anything like that, I get like in this trance and I can't stop. And then before you know it, I'm sitting here for 45 minutes, like going over it again and again, looking for stuff that's not even there. I'll think I see something and then it's not. Speaking of cats, I just had one jump up on the chair here because I forgot to shut the door. So, Cookie, hit the road. There she left. Wow. Good girl, Cookie. I must have insulted her. Okay, so we are good. This is all nice and even. And one thing you don't want to do is forget to take this tape off, because if you don't take it off, it's going to form a little, it's called a lip, but a lot of people don't understand that term. It's like a little ledge that forms of clear resin around the whole painting. Now, if by some chance you forget it on there, you could totally fix it with some sanding, but it's a pain, so just try to remember to get that off in about a half hour. So I'm going to take my glove off over to canvas because it's going to drip. And why not catch that little bit extra resin that's there. And I'm going to torch it quick. Maybe. If I can find a torch. And just be careful of the tape. It will catch on fire. I see a little spot that I missed here. Also, another thing you should most definitely have is an LED flashlight. Something that makes this visible. A regular old flashlight, it's kind of hard to see if there's hair or anything like that in there, or air bubbles, but the LED light works really well. This is my new LED light I got. It's by Bell Howell, and it's a regular light, flashlight. It's one of these here, and look at this. How cool am I? So, just going to look around here. I know I missed this little tiny spot here. First, I'm going to look for empty spaces they may have missed. Which I think I got everything. That's good. Now what I'll do is I'll use this to see where air bubbles are, and I'll go around and pop them. They will continue to rise for at least 15 to 20 minutes. These lights are a tremendous help. You don't need a big fancy one like this either. I have a link in the description of my videos. It may not be in this one because I think I'm going to upload it on my phone because it's a really short video. But in all my other videos, there is a link for a flashlight, a 3-pack of them. And I think they're like $10, and I'm going to show you what they look like in a second here. So you can see they're just continuing to come up, the air bubbles. So now I'll wait a minute and let it set. These little lights right here, a 3-pack, I think they were $9.98. And as I don't want to flash it like right at you guys. It works well also. Okay. So we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes. And I'm going to come back and pop some more air bubbles. I could see there's still a ton. They're all rising. And then I'll show you how to do the sides. Okay, so I've moved my canvas over to where it's going to dry. I have my cover to the side, and I'm going to go over it one more time with my little torch to pop any bubbles. And then what I will do is put the cover on it And keep coming back every 15 minutes until an hour has gone past to make sure there's nothing in the top of that painting. So what I'm going to do is hopefully, let's see, I don't want to be in your view. This is a hard area for me to film. So please excuse me if I am in the way. So I'm just going to go over it one more time really quick. And it's been about 15 minutes since I collaged you guys. Now, this is stone coat, so it is known to be a little more fluid, but I am going to remove it anyway. So I'm sure that I could get a nice coating on that side. On the sides, I should say. And it hasn't been 15 minutes, it's been 25. I don't even know why I just told you guys that. So see my pull tab here? And slowly start pulling it off. And that resin is going to, on its own, start coming down the sides. Stick that there. And as long as your table is level, it should come over evenly. If it doesn't though, you can always just go around with some extra resin and coat the sides. And I'm very, very sorry for my arm. Just going to grab this on the side here a little bit to help me out. And she's a goner, okay? So now it's going to start coming over the sides. You're going to let it come over for a bit and then take your hand and start rubbing it in so you get a nice even coat. And that, my dears, is how you do a flood coat. So I hope you all are having a great day. If you have any questions, you can leave them below, as you know. And until next time, happy pouring. It'll keep coming down and I'll keep rubbing it in. It'll be beautiful in the end. I hope you all are having a great day.